One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.
Greetings, this is Tai Brown, and I'm sitting here at the 2017 NACDA Convention. I have Nick Florence with us. Nick is the Director of Development and Major Gifts for Baylor Athletics down at Baylor University. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ty.
Okay. Now, Nick, you were a pretty successful athlete there, and then you made a transition into administration, specifically development. What were some of the challenges you faced, and really, what do you think that an administration can put in place to help a successful athlete transition into athletic administration?
Absolutely, a great question. Well, I think first and foremost, we all in life have hurdles we have to overcome. We have advantages we have given our background, and being a former athlete comes with those same characteristics as we move on to the real world. And I think as an athlete, what has prepared me is I've learned hard work. I've learned how to succeed. I've learned how to produce, and production matters. But I think as you move in, especially at your alma mater, into administration, I think one of the big hurdles you have to overcome is the fact and the perception that you have. Oh, you have this job because of who you are and what you did here. And you walk into a workplace where the experience is 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you come in and you have to come in and not act like you know everything. And the reality is I don't, And so I think one of the things, and I was taught well by actually another former Baylor student athlete
Right.
that was in development, and coming in with a humble mindset. And it's the same idea of being an athlete and being your sport is you have to learn to craft your skill. And development is a skill that needs to be crafted and molded and shaped. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen overnight. I've been in it 3.5 years, and I feel like every year I think I'm getting it, and then there'll be another nuance that comes my way. But I think for administrators hiring athletes, I think you have to surround them and mentor them in the right way. And yes, they can be pushed, and you want to push them. But I think we really have to shape former athletes in the aspect of, hey, you've got to learn and gain respect. And you can be successful given your background. But how are you going to interact with those older than you? How are you going to interact, especially if, 3.5 years later, there's going to be some guys that are reporting to me now. And so how do I interact? And really this year, even for me, has been a learning experience of, I've got to make the other person have the idea. I've got to make them seem like the expert. And not me, some measly, late 20s guy that seemingly had it all together, and all these things. And so I think as administrators, we have to do a great job of mentoring our young people and our athletes, especially in roles of administration. And so, Greg Davis has played basketball, Greg, and done a great job of mentoring me.
Right.
And so, again, it's just this idea of learning and always being a learner.
And one thing you said that's interesting is that you had to earn respect. So
Yeah.
as an athlete, you finished up, especially somebody like you who's pretty high profile, you got the respect and the credibility of everybody. So now you come into an environment where that really doesn't mean anything in terms of success in the role
It doesn't matter how many yards I threw for on a football
Right,
field. I'm not on a
exactly.
football field anymore.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So I guess really, like you said, putting something into place so they understand that they have to earn respect again, which for an athlete, if they don't understand that, it can be detrimental to them. But then B, also teaching them how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking someone under your wing and going on trips and learning and listening, and but there's a lot of onus on the former student athlete is you've got to be one that's willing to learn. and willing to take the low road and take notes and watch and listen.
Put your ego away.
And put your ego aside.
Yeah.
And let your production speak for itself.
Right.
And ultimately, in the business of athletics and being an athlete, that's ultimately what it comes down to. You know, if you weren't good enough on the football field, you didn't play. Your production didn't speak for itself. And now there's a lot of things we can learn. And now being in the real world, being in an environment where numbers matter, I need to put my head to the ground and work hard and let my production speak for itself. And it's just about gaining the respect of your colleagues. They're your teammates now. You know, they don't put on a football helmet and shoulder pads and cleats. You know, they're in dress clothes and slacks and a coat. But they're your teammates and you're on the same team, and taking those same things you learned and applying them to the workforce is not always easy, but it can be done.
It can be done. Well, excellent. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I appreciate you sitting down with us and sharing your information, and I wish you good luck in the future.
Absolutely appreciate it, man.
All right. Thank you very much, Nick. This is Tai Brown signing off.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.